Hi, this is Bird from Bird's SVGs, and in this video I'll be showing you how I put my hibiscus flower card together. And this is from the Club Tropicana SVG collection. First of all, I'm going to start on my card base, and I'm just making sure that I've got my card folded around the right way, because it can be easy to get that wrong. And then I'm going to add some glue to my insert and pop that inside my card. I know the cardstock I use for my card base is probably light enough to write a message on for my recipient, but it makes it a bit stronger and helps counterweight the front of the card, because sometimes if the front of your card is too heavy, it can tip over. So adding an insert can certainly help with that. Once I'm happy that's all in place, I can start to build the front of my card. And you've got two green layers here, so you want to add some glue to your lighter green piece and then pop it onto your darker green piece. And I'm just having a look to see which way round it goes, but I think it can only go one way. So it should be easy enough to pop into place. Just make sure you've got an even border around the edges. And then you'll find that lighter green layer that's on the top will give you the placement for where your flowers need to go. So I'm just starting off with my yellow flower first. I'm popping my stamen into place. And then I'll flip that piece over and I'll add some glue to the back of it so I can add my red layer. Of course, I can't add glue to my red layer because it could show through the holes in a yellow layer. So, you need to do it this way around. So I'm placing my red piece on top and I'm just trying to make sure that all of the edges are lined up with the edges of my yellow piece. And then once I'm happy that it's in place, I'm just patting it down to make sure the glue takes hold, and then I'll work on my pink flower. So we're starting with the stamen, popping that into place. And then again, I'll flip it over and add some glue onto the back. And then I'll put my darker pink piece into place. Again, trying to make sure that the edges are all flush. And then at this point I can choose whichever flower that I want to be kind of on top. But I've decided I'm happier with my pink flower being on top. But you can have your yellow flower on top if you'd like. So I'm going to glue my yellow flower directly down onto the green layer. And then once I've got that into place, I'll be adding some 3D foam pads behind my pink flower. So I'm just lining that up with the edges of the light green layer. So just popping down my 3D foam pads, and then when they're all in place, I'll remove the backings. Pop that down. So then I've just put this in place on the front of my card, and I've decided that I'd like some more dimension. So I'm going to add some 3D foam pads behind this whole flower section now. Now I do tend to get a bit carried away with my 3D foam pads, but you don't have to use as many as I do. So I'm just making sure that I've got that central before I actually press it down into place. And then I can move on to my envelope. So I'm just folding along the score line on my envelope liner, and then I'm going to fold along all the score lines of my envelope. And to close it up, just adding a little bit of glue to these bottom two edges of the sides. Just holding that for a moment. And because the cutout detail in this envelope is in the top flap here, which I forgot to fold along, so I'm just popping my liner out so I can fold along that line. But because the detail is actually in that top flap there, I will need to add some glue around that cutout detail, because I can't add it to the liner itself because it might ooze between or show between the gaps. So you don't need to add too much here, just a few dots here and there will be completely sufficient. And then I'm just, as I normally would, adding a little bit of glue along the top edge of my liner. I'm just holding it for a moment. And as with all the envelopes in this collection, there is a plain envelope provided if you're sending your card through the mail, because that detail might get caught in the machines. So just look for the plain envelopes folder and they'll all be there. Okay, and I hope you enjoy sending this card, and I hope the recipient really likes it.